The next topic we're going to cover is location play. This is very little known. You're going to see how the cheat would know what's coming out on the flop in Omaha and Hold'em. We'll show you location play for draw poker. And just to give you an example of what location play looks like, looks something like this. He knew exactly where his top stock was. That's accomplished by knowing what the top cards are. As he shuffles, adding 1 or 2 cards to the top, doing any one of the false shuffles, and then when he cuts, it's a legitimate cut, and he offsets it just a little bit so you can see the original top card is right here. Then he would deal the cards. Here's his original top card. Those are the 2 he added. And here go your 4 aces. That's one form of location play. This next location play is going to inform his partner what the flop is going to be. Legitimate shuffles, legitimate strip, legitimate cut. His partner knows the flop. That'll look like this. As the cards are being washed, some house procedures dictate that the dealer should pick the cards up towards the player. By doing that, the cheater's partner will look at the bottom 4 cards. In this case, it's a king, king, 6, 2. The first shuffle, he just keeps them on the bottom. The second shuffle, he keeps them on the bottom. Strip, break, keeps them on the bottom. Here's your king, king, 6, 2. For the cut, he knows it's a 10-handed Hold'em game. There's going to be 20 cards used. 1 burn card is 21. The 4th flop is 25. All he has to do is cut near the middle. And let's see how we do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If this is your partner's hand, he'd fold because he knows there's going to be a king, 6, 2 coming up soon. Burn. Here's your flop. King, king, 6. And now he knows the 2 is right here. That's going to be used as your next burn card. That's the flop for Hold'em. The next location play is for a 10-handed Omaha or any Omaha game. The cheat's partner is going to know what his flop is going to be and what the last 2 cards on the flop is going to be. And that looks like this. This person folds, that person folds, this person folds. When the cheat folds, he looks at these 2 cards right here. In this case, we know it's the ace of spades and the 7 of clubs. When the cheat would just throw them on the bottom. 4 more cards on the bottom, and everything else goes into the middle. So right now, all the cheat did was place 4 cards below his old hand. So here's your ace of spades and 7 of clubs. Shuffle, shuffle, strip, shuffle, and a cut. 10-handed game. 40 cards would be used in 10-handed game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if this is your partner's hand, he knows the ace of spades and the 7 of clubs are not going to help him here, so he might fold. Or he might hold on just to see the flop. Here's your flop. He might stay in because here's a straight. 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7 of clubs is coming up. So he knows he's going into a straight for sure. Let's see how he does. Wrap, burn, here's your ace of spades. Burn, here's your 7 of clubs. That's knowing the last 2 cards in an Omaha game. The next move is for draw poker. And this is also a location play. What happened was, in the previous round, the cheat picked up his partner and his hand and put trips, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th on the bottom. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So he knows his 3 6s are going to be the 8th, 9th, and 10th from the bottom. And I'll show you how this could benefit him. It's in a 6-handed draw poker game. His partner cuts, kept him right where he needs him. 6-handed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, this would be the cheat's hand, and this would be his partner's hand. They have to count 12 cards. So this guy would draw 3 cards probably. 1, 2, 3. Now they have to count 9 cards because 12 minus 3 is 9. This person might take 4 cards. So now they have to count 5 cards. This person is going to take 3. Now they have to count 2 cards. This person might take 2. Now the cheats know their 3 6s are right here. If any one of them have a pair, in this case, it's the cheat's partner. When he draws 3 cards, you know he's going to get the full house. The next location play you're about to see almost defies detection. It's going to involve a legitimate final riffle shuffle and a legitimate cut. And the cheat's partner is going to have some substantial information. And it looks like this. This is the final hand of the hold'em round. The cheat's partner sees that there's 5, 6 clubs, as a matter of fact, on the table. When the cheat picks up the round and puts them on the top, the cheat will do a lopsided riffle, any one of the 4 shuffles, a lopsided riffle, but the final riffle shuffle is going to be 100% legitimate and pure, just like that. All that means is those 6 clubs disperse themselves among the top quarter. Then the cheat just cuts a quarter of the deck, and the cheat's partner knows that these clubs are not going to come into play. This next move is our last location play technique. And on this technique, I'm going to show you how the cheat can tell his partner what the flop is going to be in this hold'em game. In this case, we're going to make it an 8-handed hold'em game, and it'll look like this. We're going to deal out 8 hands. The cheater's partner is sitting right here on his right. He might fold, this person might fold, this person might fold. Burn, here's your turn. This betting round, he might fold. Burn, turn. On this round, he might go. Burn, turn, and drop. If anyone else folds, these people get thrown beneath the cut card into the bottom half. When the cheater picks up these 3 burn cards, he flashes them to his partner on the right, and his partner's going to see 2 8s and a queen. They go on the bottom. When it comes time for the showdown, the dealer would award the winning pot, take the 4 cards, throw them underneath, on top, and when he looks for his cut card, he puts the bottom cards on top, and that's going to put the 2 8s and a queen in the right position. So now his partner is going to know the flop. All the cheater has to do is just add 1 card to the top, any one of these cuts, and it's all set up. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In this case, my partner would fold. Why would the cheat's partner fold? Because with a 2-7, he knows there's going to be 2 8s and a queen coming up. But if he had two 8s, he knows he's going into 4 of a kind. Let's see how we did. Burn. Here's your flop. 2 8s and a queen. That's location play. The next part of this program, we're going to talk about palming. Palming is actually removing cards from play and concealing them in your hand to use them later on or to switch them back in. It looks something like this. Here you can see the ace of spades on top. Watch the cheat remove that ace of spades as he passes them for the cut. This move is accomplished when the cheater takes the cards and prepares them for a pass. His pinky grabs the corner of the card and snaps it into the palm like that as he comes back. Now watch this fast. With the same palming technique, he can use a move called playing heavy. In a poker game, he'll deal out 2 hands. Or how many hands? 4. So they each have 5 cards each. And when the cheat counts his cards, he now has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What happened was 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the cheat's hand. As he squares the deck up to put it down, he palms a card, and he just adds it right back to his hand. Another method of palming, when he's not the dealer, here's the muck. The cheat looks at his hand. Let's suppose he wanted to take out the king of hearts. He doesn't have much of a hand, so he throws his hands into the muck as he steals the king. The king is on top of his hand, and right here you can see the cheat squeezing the king into his hand as he throws the cards into the muck. Watch that at normal speed. King of hearts. Cheater looks at his hands. Another method of palming is from the bottom of the deck. Here's 2 aces on the bottom. The cheat will keep them there. Cut. All the cheater does is what they call a gambler's cop. The cards are moved back into the hand as he squares the deck up. And as he put the deck down, he keeps them in his hand. Cut. And then they go right back on the bottom. Cards can also be removed during a shuffling procedure. In a lot of private games or in a lot of major games, a player reserves the right to shuffle. after the dealer. But the dealer always reserves the right to shuffle last. So when the player goes to shuffle the cards, he can steal one card out. When he shuffles the cards, at this point, he side jogs that card as they get riffled. This card slides into the hand as he squares them up. Normal speed, it will look like this. The bottom palm. The last section we covered out palming. Now you saw how a cheat was able to take cards out of play. Well, now I'll show you how they bring them back in. Here's my poker hand right now. I have 2 aces and 2 fours with an 8 of hearts kicker. They just got dealt to me. Full house. Now remember, with all these moves, you're actually seeing the cards. In a real life scenario, you won't have that opportunity with all the natural distractions that happen. Let's cover how this was done. The cheat held out one of the cards in his right hand. As the cards were dealt to him, he added a card to the top of the hand as he picked them up. As he's spreading the cards out in his hand, he's actually bringing down the card to be taken out into palm position, the left hand. Then when he places the hand on the table, he goes south with the odd card. Another switch for a 1 card is this one. This could be a 5 card stud. Here's my ace of clubs in the hole. I want to switch that ace of clubs for a 4. Here's how it will look. The 1 card switch. Just by itself would look like this. 4 of diamonds. Ace of clubs. Without seeing the face of the switch, that's all it is. And you can see we switched it back. On this move, the card to be palmed is in the right hand. It's laid flat on the table, and as the cheat goes to turn over his card, it's actually going underneath the table card and forces that table card in the palm position. And then it's in a perfect position to either turn it over or just to lie it back down. The same top palm could look like this. Here we have a 4 of spades held out. I'm going to switch it for the ace of clubs. For 2 cards, the same move, it looks like this. Again. Here's my hand. Here's the 4 of spades. And it looks like this. Switching. The next part of this program, we're going to talk about signaling. That's the secret communication between 2 or more players, and it's without a doubt the most undetected scam that goes on at the poker tables. It can be really devastating, and I hope you familiarize yourself with this and understand what can happen to you if you were at this table. Let's give an example. Let's suppose there's 6 people on this table. My partner to my right will be my daughter Brittany. The action starts here. He bets. This person calls, and this person calls. Now it's up to Brittany. What is she going to do?
Fold.
Brittany folded. I'm going to call. If this person wins the pot, he wins all this money. Did he get cheated? And the answer is absolutely. Let's look at why. When I'm looking at my hand, Brittany, what am I telling you right now?
One pair.
Now, she also has a pair. She told me she had a pair by the way she was holding her hand. Now we have to see what pair is higher, so watch me tell her what I'm holding. What do I have, Brittany?
A pair of kings.
She said a pair of kings. I'm not sure what she had. She had a pair of sevens. She knew my pair was higher than hers. She couldn't beat me, so she folded. If this person wins, he should have won her money too, but she knew she couldn't compete with me, so she folded and I went forward. Now, let's suppose I have a good hand and she has nothing. I come up like this. This person bets, this person bets, this person bets. She has absolutely nothing. Brittany, what am I holding?
A full house.
She said I'm holding a full house. Is she right? She is. So what's going to happen? Brittany will raise. When it comes to me, I might re-raise her. Or I might just call her and hopefully they'll call. Look how much more money we got into the pot by her calling that bet on nothing. Now on the next betting round, she's going to fold. Why is she going to fold? Because she doesn't want to expose to everyone that she raised before holding nothing. So she folds. Now it appears that she was trying to bluff and buy the pot, and I come down with a full house. So what you just saw was an example of cross-firing. That's us signaling our hands. How did we do it? We did it with a finger code. 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 of a kind straight, flush, full house, 4 of a kind, straight flush. Just on the fingers. I can also signal to her what I'm holding. For example, what's the strength of my hand, Brittany?
3 of a kind.
What is it? What are the 3 of a kind?
Kings.
3 kings. Is she right? Absolutely. How did she know that? 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 of a kind. I put my finger down here. If you listen to the wording, what I said before, when I looked at my hand, I went, geez. And as we know, G stands for Jesus. And who visited Jesus? The 3 kings. So we used a verbal code. We can also use another verbal code in this situation. Betting round before the draw. Now, a betting round just enticed. This is a 5-card draw. Well, I just told her I need an ace by saying the word well. Now, she told me she has an ace, and I want it. So now she's going to draw. When she draws, I have 2 pair. Watch what she does with the ace. She leaves it too close to me, and I don't want it that close, so I push it back to her. By doing that, we just switch the cards. That's called a brush. Let's look to see how that was done again. This time we'll use a different colored card. So you can see when she puts down 1 card, that's the switch. And that's how fast it happens. The brush. Another type of signaling device that can be used is a mechanical device. This is one setup. I could wear this in my sock, and this would go down to my big toe. This would go into her pocket, and in her pocket she would have a cut or a little hole that would enable this to go down to the inside of her thigh, which is very sensitive to vibrations, or her calf. When I press down with my big toe, you can see that thing vibrate. And I can actually tell her via Morse code what to do. What the strength of my hand is, whether she should call, whether she should raise, or whether she should fold. Besides mechanical devices, you can also use your cards in a hold'em game to signal the strength of a hand. This could be ace king. This could be ace queen. This could be ace jack. This could be, if it's a high-low game, I'm going for the high. I'm going for the low. I'm going for both. When a player pins down his card with chips, the position of his chips can also enable him to give a signal to his partner. So you can see how two people team together could be sitting far apart and have a communication where no one else would know what's going on except them. The last part of this segment, and could be one of the most important ones, we're going to talk about marked cards. The reason why I say it's most important is because a lot of crooked gambling that I'm aware of, marked cards have been used a lot more than once. As a matter of fact, over 750,000 decks of cards were sold last year by the U.S. Playing Card Company, and I guarantee a large portion of those cards were marked later on in private home games. Let's suppose this is one of your private home games, and someone brings a brand new deck of cards, and the seal's not yet broken. Well, let's open this deck of cards. You can see the seal is still intact. We open up the deck of cards, take the jokers out, full deck. But was the deck tampered with? You better believe it. This deck was opened, tampered with, put back in the box, and resealed. Just don't think because you see a brand new deck of cards unopened doesn't mean they haven't been tampered. The way the cheat does this, he takes a deck of cards right off the shelf and an X-Acto knife. They go right through the bottom of the box. Where the seam is, and they just make a straight incision. Now they could fold back that plastic. Like this. There we go. And remove the case from the plastic. Then they would heat up the blade and just touch underneath this revenue stamp. And if you see this revenue stamp, without even heating anything up, you can see almost how we're able to peel it back. Or the cheat will make an incision on the side of the box or the bottom and take them out that way. mark the cards, put them back into the box, wrap them in a handkerchief, reseal them, take 2 extra cards to act as a guide, put them into the plastic as so, take the box, push it back in, remove the guides. Now, they would fold the plastic back up, wrap the deck of cards into a handkerchief, tighten it and hit it with a hot iron, and that plastic will reseal itself. Or, if they wanted to cheat, you can do the same thing with nothing more than a piece of plain Scotch tape. Well, now you've seen how the cheat can take the cards out of the box. Now we'll show you a couple of ways of marking them. The first one we're going to talk about is blockout work. The cheat goes to an art supply store or a photo place and gets an IdentoPen because that matches up to ink perfectly. And with that, with blockout work, he actually removes parts of the card. For instance, on this card, being it's a 6, I would go right down here to the 6th one and just take it out a tad. Now, I don't know if you could read that at home, but all I did was I made this one shorter like that. There's millions of ways of marking these cards. I mean, if you wanted to do dots, I could blank out this dot and signify an ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9. Then the other side, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We can block out parts of this card that signify suits, but that's blockout work. Blockout work means you're blocking out some of the white. The opposite to this is cutout work. Cutout work means we're going to remove some of the ink. For example, the cheater takes a pen, takes out the insides of it, puts glue, and puts a fine needle point in there. Then with a magnifying glass, the cheat can actually block out some of the ink. For instance, over here, he might add a bird. And all I did was that's cutout work. The 2 ways this can be detected is by giving the deck a riffle test. A riffle test is where you take a deck of cards, you hold them in your hands, and you riffle them just like that. And just stare at one section of the deck as you riffle them. Then stop, stare at another section and riffle them. Then stop, stare at another section and riffle them. And this is going to be like the old motion pictures. When you hit the right spot, and if these cards are marked with either cutout or blockout work, you're actually going to see little dots jump all over the place. And that's how you're going to detect yourself against that. That's blockout and cutout work. The next type of mark that we're going to talk about is called shade. This is definitely the preferred mark among professional cheaters because it's the hardest one to detect, if not impossible. Here's a deck of cards that's marked with shade work. Just to give you an example, that's a low. That's a low. 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 That's a high one. That's a low one. That's a high one. Low. Low. That's another high. On this deck, one angel is slightly darker than the other. Very, very minute, almost impossible to see. It takes a lot of training to get the eye to see this. What the cheat does is he takes a little bit of alcohol and ink, dilutes the ink in the alcohol, This is permanent ink. And then it just gets painted onto the card, as so. Now if you look at that card, that angel is slightly darker than that angel. This is the same secret among the people who make juice decks. A juice deck well, you can see these two cards right here. But if you can see, this has a straight line that has a diagonal line on it. These have the same markings. So we'll work with just the 3. If you look at this 3, you could probably see the straight line going down. On this one, you can't. All the cheat does, takes the same ink, makes it a lot lighter on the brush, and just puts a very light line right down the middle. From here, I could see that line, very light, but if I blur my vision, I could see it. Let's see if we can make it a little darker. After the cheat practices with this deck for maybe a week, I don't know, it's up to the cheater how many hours he's going to put into it. Instead of hitting it 4 times, then maybe he'll make the solution a little lighter and then only hit it twice. And then after a while, he's going to have a mark that he's the only one that could see it. The only detection you have against this is a person's eyes. They say the eyes is the windows to the soul. Well, also, look at the person's eyes. Is he continuously staring at other people's cards? If he is, maybe he's reading the mark. When he's holding a deck in his hand, does he continuously to look at the top card? If he does, maybe he's using marked cards. A professional cheater wouldn't use that. What a professional cheater would do is, after the cards are being dealt, he would have a partner on the other end of the table reading the other marks for him and then signaling him what the other players have. This move was just shown in a movie with Sylvester Stallone, Shade, and it's been a rave. If you look online, they have juice decks all over the place. This is how it's made. You just take a little bit of alcohol, tiny bit of ink, and that's how you make a juice deck, and a lot of practice. That's juice. The next type of marked card that we're going to talk about is not really a marked card, more as taking advantage of a factory defect. For instance, if I take out 3 cards, I can tell you right now, this is a high one and this is a high one. Here's your low one. These are called sorts. If you look at the high card, notice on the end, there's a big diamond here. And if you notice on that end, there's another complete diamond. So all the high cards have complete diamonds that run off the edge. If you notice on the small one, it's smaller diamonds, not full. And these are called sorts. There's 2 ways of making sorts. Cheaters can buy dozens of decks of B cards and sort them out themselves, hence the name sorts. Or they actually have card cutters and they actually trim cards down to make this configuration. That's sorts. Just to show you that marked cards is a very serious matter, recently a lot of marked cards were being sold in flea markets under the U.S. playing card name, and they're not B cards. This is the box they come in, and it says back number 67, sealed B, the U.S. Playing Card Company, but it's definitely a cheaper box, a cheaper wrapping. And if you feel the card, it's not U.S. Playing Card Company quality. It's a very cheap card, a very cheap knockoff on the B card. But they're marked cards, and they're being sold marked. If I put these cards down, and you step back, you'll actually see there's one white line going right down this card. That signifies an ace. Over here, you'll see two white lines. So there's ace in the middle, and that is two over, so ace, then that's a king. Here is further apart. If you count them, it's ace, king, queen, jack, 10, 9, 8, 7. That's a 7. And if you look at this card, you'll see two white lines going from the upper left to the lower right corner. Two lines in that direction signify that's a 2. These cards are being sold in a lot of public places. The next type of marked card that we're going to talk about is touch work or feel. This deck has been tampered with a device called a punch. As I deal the cards, I'm feeling to see if there's any little humps or braille. Watch. Here's a high card right here. These are all low. Ace being low. Let's see if we can feel another one. Right here. So as soon as I feel the punch, I go right into a second deal. These cards were hit with a punch. Looks like this. And the cheat puts the card into the punch and pushes down, and it raises a small little needle right here. Obviously, this is done at home or before the game. During the game, the cheat wears a little device like this on his thumb. And then with this on his thumb, of course it's attached to it or fixed to it with epoxy or glue or wax. But when the cheater touches the cards like that, it also leaves a small bump that you could feel. Another type of touch work is rough smooth. The U.S. Playing Card Company used to make decks with different finishes. If you look at the bottom, this one is a cambric finish, and this one is a smooth finish. The cheats would take the high cards out of the smooth finish and mix them with the cambric. But when they deal, they can actually feel the difference. Today, they take different types of finishes and spray them on to distinguish the difference, but that's how rough and smooth came about. Another type of touch work is black line work, and this is done with the chems. The cheat would take the plastic cards, and this is usually used in a Raz game or low ball. They would take the high cards, take a razor, and just make an indentation along that line. It doesn't go through the back, and it's invisible to the eye, but when the cheater deals the cards, he can actually feel right here and determine who's getting the high cards. These cards are marked for informational purposes only, just to know who's getting the high cards. The next type of mark card that we're going to talk about is also touch work. It's done by feel. And it's a little known move, never been exposed before until Steve Forte wrote a recent book called Game Protection, A Comprehensive Guide. And in that book, he calls it flex work. And this is what it looks like. This is also done with a plastic card. These are 3 high cards. These should be low. And how that's accomplished is the cheat takes a cloth, puts one of the plastic cards into the cloth, and then hits it with an iron. That actually makes the card flimsier than these. And when the dealer's dealing the cards, he can feel which one is more flimsier and who's getting the high cards. Flex work. This next type of card isn't really a marked card, but it's a gaffed card. Looks like this. This was accomplished by the use of strippers. These are called bellies. What that means is the cheater takes these devices and he's able to cut them in such a way the centers are wider. Then to make the corners match, they take the corner rounders and they put the same corner back on it. So what happens when this deck is shuffled and then the cheater wants the cards he wants to control, he grabs the deck and by pulling, he's able to pull out the cards that are wider. Watch that again. Then he can either bring them to the bottom for the bottom deal, or he can bring them to the top. Those are strippers. One way you could detect these is when you get the deck, just careful examination, and you can see that certain cards are wider. Yeah, let me put them into the middle. Let me disperse them a little more. The opposite of belly strippers are something called in strippers. What's an in stripper? An in stripper is when the cheater takes a device puts the cards he wants inside the device, and with a fine piece of sandpaper, thins the center of that card out. This deck already had 4 aces treated that way. It's very hard to see from the center of this deck, but the aces are actually thinner in the middle than the other cards. We're talking about slight. This deck is almost examinable. Now to pull these cards, this is how they're pulled. Deck is riffled. The cheater grabs the middle of the deck, which means it's touching every card except the aces. And then when this hand strips the cards, you'll see only the aces will come out. Now let's see how this would look in an actual poker game. The cards are legitimately shuffled, so I don't know where they are. On the first shuffle, I'll pull out an ace, I'll riffle, I'll keep it on top. I'm fishing for the second ace. I didn't get it, so I'll do another riffle. Now here it comes. Now I'm all set to do a riffle stack. We'll make it a 4-handed game. And I'll get the aces. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In strippers. This next type of mark, and the last one that we're going to cover, is also done with plastics. If we put these cards onto the table, the ace is going to be right here. These cards will be mixed up. Spread. The ace is right here. This was accomplished by the corner rounder. The way these cards are made, the corners aren't perfect. So if you could zoom in and see this, you could see the corner on this ace is slightly rounder than the other ones. I took the ace and rounded the corners off. Well, while we're on the topic of marked cards, let's see how cards can be marked during play. For instance, these cards get dealt to me, and the high cards, I could take my fingernail and just scrape the edge or make indentations right into the side of them. I could do this here for high cards. I can mark them up here for low cards. I don't know if you can see that. Another way of marking cards during play is by putting a small piece of sandpaper on a Band-Aid. And that way, when the cheat likes the cards, he would just abrasively touch that upper card. If you look right here, you can see it's sanded down just a tad. Crooked gambling supply houses sell this substance called daub. Has a little pin, so you can attach it to your shirt, underneath a tie, anywhere. And the cheater would rub some of this stuff on his hand, and when he gets the cards, he would mark it in certain positions. If you look right here, look at that angel is darker than that angel. This one is much darker than that one. I'm going to exaggerate this one. That's called daub. Daub could be hidden on chips. It could be hidden on jewelry. It could be hidden on the body. It can be hidden in the hair, so when you rub your fingers through it, or your mustache. For a female, some Daub substitutes could be lipstick. As she touches her lips, she could mark the cards with that. It's been a known fact that a lot of gamblers use newspapers or racing forms. They would wet their finger and take the ink off a newspaper to mark the cards. That's Daub.
This program features Sal Piacente, a casino game protection consultant with over 20 years' experience and over 40 clients, gained solely through referrals. Sal's clients include major casinos and law enforcement agencies around the world. This bonus section includes moves and devices used by Charlie, a former full-time poker cheat. Charlie agreed to share the methods that he used to fleece poker players to support his lavish lifestyle, stipulating that we conceal his identity. He chose to do so because he is now retired. And by the way, did I mention? Charlie has never been caught.
People ask me what the strongest move in poker is, and I believe it's the cold deck, which we'll demonstrate here. We'll deal a 5-handed poker game. Now, as everyone checks their hand, this player has an ace and king of hearts, which are very playable. The second hand has a jack and queen of hearts, which is also playable. The third player had an 8-4, which is not a playable hand, so he throws his cards in. Now my partner has 2 9s, which is very playable and would very possibly raise. When it comes to me, I've got an unplayable hand because of my partners, so I would fold. Then the flop and burn. The flop brings 9 of hearts, king of clubs, and 10 of hearts. The player in the first position has a nut flush draw with the top pair. The player in the second position has the jack and queen of hearts with a straight flush draw. My partner in the third position has flopped 3 of a kind. So they make their wages, and odds are they would get all their money in, and then would come the next burn. Here's the turn card. Turn card makes this player a nut flush. The second player still has a straight flush draw, now with a flush, and my partner has 3 9s, all very playable hands. First a burn card, then the river, or last card. There's a pair of 7s on board. My partner takes the pot with a full house, 9s over 7s. That's what the cooler looks like. Now let's show you how it's done. For demonstration purposes, I'll use 2 different colored decks. So all that happens is my partner cuts the cards, and here's the switch from red to blue. One more time, red, blue. Again, red to blue. And that's the cooler. And now I'll walk you through the procedure. Where the cards come from, I have a concealed compartment in my shirt, and you'll see I can reach right into the pocket here. I reach in and bring them to my lap to load up before I put the cooler in. Then I'll swap, put the cooler in, and deal the hand. When I'm ready to discard the cards, I put the deck back in the trap, which is a pocket here in my shirt. It comes in from the pocket. Then brush my lap and take it to the pocket. When I want to load up again, I just reach into the trap, put them in my lap, the pocket being right here, as you can see. In order to protect yourself from the cold deck, I would say 90% of them are brought in from the table to the edge and then swapped. So to protect yourself from this, here's one precaution you can take. If I was a houseman, I would put a piece of tape here and have it all the way around the table. The cards can never come behind it. You shuffle the cards from the front, they're cut from the front, and then they're dealt from the front to your players. This way you can avoid, I would say, 90% of the cold decks, and it gives you game protection. Now we just demonstrated the cold deck, and Sal asked me what the next strongest move in poker cheating is, and for me, it's what they call the holdout. For instance, I was dealt these two cards here. I've got an ace and a 7. Again, I have an ace and a 7. So I pick my cards up and wait for my order to bet. And when it comes down to my time to bet, I look at my hand again, and you notice now I have 2 aces. Now, how I got that card, earlier in the game when I was dealt an ace, I took the ace in my hand, I came back, went up my sleeve, and kept it there until I needed to switch it back. Later in the game, when it comes time for me to bet, I'm going to call the bet, possibly raise, and in the meantime, I'll go to my sleeve where I have a clip, come back, chop the 7, then show the aces. Now when you saw me go into my sleeve, here's what you're not seeing. This is what I call a clip. It's strapped around my arm and it holds the card in place. When I need the card, I just come and go with it. Here and back to the clip. Of course my sleeve covers it, but that's when I make the switch. From the table, then back to the clip. That's the simple switch. And how would you detect that? If you see anyone with unusual body movement, you'll notice I have to go to my sleeve. When you see someone make the same motion repetitively, odds are they're making some kind of move. So just watch for certain repetitive movements, and if they do the same one over and over, you know something's going on. If you think this is what is happening, you can ask for a countdown or a card count. But if someone were to ask for a card count, I make sure I never leave it in my clip when the cards are not within reach of me. Usually, I'll hold out between me and 2 other people around me, but if it gets so far across the table, I leave it be. I hold out when it gets close to me because just in case, say the cards were here, just in case someone wanted to count cards and I'm out, I can always come in and cover up and get rid of the card. Again, anytime you suspect someone of holding out, you should request a card count.
In this next footage, you'll see some mechanical holdouts. The first one is a table holdout. The cheat just switched cards using a table holdout. The cheat gets rid of the 7 into the muck, activates the table, which brings the other ace out into his hand. This is a close-up shot of how the card comes out of the table. This shot shows how the table is activated. When the cheat pushes up with his knee, the card comes out of the table. And when it's released, it goes back inside. This rare shot shows the internal mechanism of the table. This is a Keplinger holdout or a knee spread. When the cheat spreads his knees, the card comes out of the sleeve and into his hand. Of course, all this apparatus is worn underneath the clothing. Here's how it looks with a suit jacket on. The next holdout you're going to see uses a mechanical device called a chest holdout. Looks like this. In my hand I'm holding nothing. I have the ace of clubs, 8, 6, 9, 10, all off suit. So I'm going to go south with the ace of clubs. Here's how it will look like. And the ace of clubs is gone. The cheat actually put it in his shirt. Watch it again. Ace of clubs. Here's how it looks at normal speed. Done. The ace of clubs is in the device. Now later on, when the cheat gets his next hand, let's say it looks like this. 3 3s, an ace and a jack. He wants to get rid of the jack and bring the ace out. It will look like this. Full house. Aces and 3s. The switch looks like this. The cheat gets the card to be taken out into the bottom of his pack, and he breaks it off into what is called a machine break. That's where it's pulled back and angled this way. In the brushing movement, as he comes, look at his hand, you can see right here, he's actually pushing the card into the holdout. And that's covered like this. To bring it back out, as he's looking at his hand, his thumb goes into the machine, pulls it out as it's hidden, and that's the add-on. The clip that it's going into is a piece of plastic made from a children's book cover for school. It sits into the shirt like this, and that's what holds the card in place as it goes in. Hold out device.
Now this next move is known as a mirror, or a light, or a shiner. What it does is reflect the cards so I can see them. So as I deal it, here's a 9, a 10, a 7, a 4, and a king. And here's a look at what I see as I deal the cards. I just position the cards over the stack of chips here, and one stack has a mirror in it, and that's when you can see the reflection of the cards. So that was one type of shiner on the chip, but other shiners can be used from any reflective device, something as simple as a cell phone. And you can read the cards from the reflection on the front of the cell phone. Here's another shiner I can show you. Now notice here's a stack of chips that has a mirror concealed in it. So as I put it with the rest of the chips, I can read the cards from the reflection. Here's an ace and a 10, a queen, a 5, and a 9. That's possible with a reflection here in the stack of chips. Now, here's another example of a shiner. And we have an 8, a 7, a 6, a jack, and another jack. This was reflected by a mirror I've concealed between my fingers. So, as I dealt the cards, I passed the cards right over my hand, and you can see it here in the mirror. Okay, this last move is what's known as a chip cop. Now if a guy bets me 15 units, now here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we know that's 5 there. So we even up. That's 5 there, and here's 5 here. So we take the 15, we put them in a stack, and we match it. But hang on a minute. Now we said 15 units, so let's take a second count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there's only 4, so this is what they call a chip cop. As I stack the chips, I remove the top chip, and then I bring it back to the stack of chips. You place a sticky substance on your hand, and the chip will stick to it. So you can steal a chip every time you make a wager. You can also cop a chip by pretending to be helpful. I mean, when someone wins the pot, you help push the pot to them, and what you've done is steal another chip. So that's what they call a chip cop.
We've focused on cheating techniques that can be used in casinos, clubs, and private poker games. Now we turn to scams in tournament and online poker. In poker tournaments, the player left with the most chips is the winner. To help ensure the win, some cons participate in lower buy-in tournaments, sneak chips home from that event, then bring those chips back into play at a higher stakes tournament held in the same venue. Alternatively, a team of 2 or more cons play on the same table at a tournament and purposely lose a number of hands to a designated player, building his chip count. If you suspect you're a victim of one of these scenarios, we suggest you ask the manager for a chip count at the end of the tournament. If your request is granted and the count is higher than what it should be, there is a strong possibility that you fell victim to one of these situations. With all that can happen in a live poker game, some people assume that online poker is a safer bet. Don't be lured into a false sense of security. Online poker scams range from fraud to faulty software that creates an unfair game to collusion among players. For more information, go to www.pokercheatsexposed.net. This program is designed to enlighten the legitimate poker player and level the playing field. Not all poker players are card sharks, but the best shark repellent is recognizing how they work, coupled with awareness of what happens in your poker game wherever that may be. Again, if you suspect foul play, we recommend you alert the poker room operator or host. If you're not satisfied with the response, you always have the option of taking your money elsewhere. So be knowledgeable, be aware, and thank you for watching.